The institution of slavery in the Americas allowed for a level of racism amongst its inhabitants that has been difficult to expunge thoroughly, even since abolition. In the years following the American Civil War, Black people had to navigate a new order in the country where many of them were free from their chains, but not from discrimination. Several organizations were created to assist African Americans in their goals of enfranchisement and general equality, however, and their members were able to create change throughout their years of activism. One such member was Addie Hunton. Through her consistent and dedicated work with a plethora of organizations, Addie Hunton assisted in the social and political progress for people of her race, as well as the diversity within the Black and feminist movements. Addie Waits was born in Norfolk, Virginia on June 11, 1866. After her childhood education, she went on to attend Spencerian College of Commerce in Philadelphia, where she was the only Black student in her graduating class in 1889. She met and married William Hunton in 1893. Mr. Hunton had already gained some recognition within the Black activist movements. He was the first salaried African American officer of the Young Men's Christian Association, or YMCA. When the couple moved to Richmond, Virginia, Addie too started civic work. Addie Hunton began her activism by joining a handful of women's organizations, including the Richmond Women's League. While representing the League at the First National Conference of Colored Women in America in 1895, Hunton assisted in the decision that unified Black women's groups to form the National Association of Colored Women, or the NACW. After moving with her husband to Atlanta, Georgia in 1899, Hunton herself achieved higher ranks in the NACW, serving as the president of the Atlanta and Georgia chapters of the association, and was appointed by the National Board of the Young Women's Christian Association, or YWCA, to travel the country and research the progressive work being done in Black communities. Mr. Hunton died in 1916, so when World War I started, Addie volunteered for YMCA service to help the Black troops in Europe. When she arrived in France for her assignment, however, she found that she was only one of 3 Black women permitted to work among 200,000 racially segregated Black troops. Some of her work included arranging various forms of entertainment for the soldiers to enjoy during their breaks from the front, but her most difficult assignment was at a military cemetery near Verdun, where in horrible conditions, the Black soldiers had to bury other American soldiers who were killed in battle. This blatant racial discrimination both she and the soldiers faced left her angry and inspired her to reveal her experiences in Two Colored Women with the American Expeditionary Forces, a book she co-authored with Katherine M. Johnson in 1920. In America, racial tension amongst women was at a boiling point as a result of the passage of the 19th Amendment. Despite the common goal of suffrage between both white and Black women, the National Women's Party, or the NWP, the League of Women Voters, and other feminist groups were still discriminatory in their acceptance of Black women. Alice Paul, the head of the NWP, was particularly unwilling to negotiate with Black women. When Addie Hunton suggested the NWP address the discrepancies in racial inclusion in the passage of the amendment and make a resolution to invoke change, Alice Paul declined. Hunton brought the resolution to the party's floor to highlight the voting hindrances of Black people faced in the 1920 elections. The resolution did not pass, but shedding light on the NWP's intentional ignorance toward the disenfranchisement of Black women was an important victory. Addie Hunton continued to highlight the strife of marginalized women throughout the rest of her advocacy. Her work in these many organizations allowed her the opportunity to experience not only the lives of white and Black people and the differences in treatment between the sexes, but she had also come to understand the lives of those less financially and educationally privileged than herself. Her college education, which was difficult for most Black women to receive at the time, undoubtedly contributed to her successes in the organizations for which she worked, but despite her privilege, she did not forget her lower-class counterparts. She wrote articles that exhibited her understanding and empathy for the difficulties in the lives of Black working-class women and mothers respectively, and highlighted the necessity for these women to benefit from organizations just as much as middle and upper-class women of all races. Upon her death on June 21, 1943 in Brooklyn, New York, the list of positions Addie Waits Hunton had held in many feminist and Black organizations in her lifetime was extremely impressive. Addie Waits Hunton was particularly gifted in her ability to represent and understand as many people as possible in the social, political, and feminist movements of her time. Her approaches to these conflicts were in many ways revolutionary and undoubtedly made a difference for those who succeeded her.